Hello everyone, my name is Jen and welcome to the Book Refuge. Alright everybody, as you can tell by the title, today we are talking about second generation series. So this is a video that was requested in a recent Instagram question box I put up. I also think I've had it put in my video recommendation form before as well, and I thought it was the perfect time to do it based on a recent re-release that happened, which we'll start with that one. But I was able to pull out 10 of these next gen series that are my favorite ones. For the most part, I believe there's only, I was checking, I think there's only one of these that I haven't read the original series. So that's kind of what I went off of, is I tried to only pick series that I'd read the original generation series, because that to me made the most logical sense to do. Again, there's only one that I haven't, and there's another one that I've only read a couple of them. But we'll go through those because I'm excited about this one. So again, the book that kind of inspired me to be ready to do this is the re-release of The Heir, which is now The Kingmakers Year 1 by Sophie Lark. So this one, aka, is The Heir, and there'll be year 1 through 4, and then there'll be graduation, and those are the 5 books in the series getting re-put out. And this series has the kids of The Brutal Birthright and her Underworld series are in this mafia school for young adults, basically, is what we'll say. And this re-release is so cool. It has full page bleeds, artwork from Melina Erickson. There are family trees, so you can get a handle of who belongs to who and where that comes from. She also has straight up who the characters are, all their character photos. I just love that so much. The Yennin family tree, Griffin family tree. It looks amazing. It's all here. But yeah, this starts off with Leo, who is I always want to say Callum and Ada. It's not Callum and Ada. It's Sebastian and Yelena's son, Leo. And then there is Anna, who is how do I say his name? Blah, blah, blah. Why can't I pronounce his name in my head? Miko. I always want to say the wrong name, and I know him so well. Nico and Nessa, and Anna Wilk is their oldest child. And they've been raised as friends, almost as cousins, even though they're not blood related. Their families grew up very close, and they're both the first year going to Kingmakers. And when they get there, there's some events that kind of pull them apart from each other and kind of drive a wedge between them. And so they don't become enemies, but their friendship is kind of broken for a while, and it will take some certain events to get them back together again. And yeah, I love this series so much. Of course, my favorite in the series will be year 3 or The Bully, right? But I still love this so much. I'm so glad these are now going to reach a wider audience than they ever have before, which is so exciting. And yeah, I just love it. Love it so much. Okay, now we have some fun ones to go through. So we have The Next Generation of Cloverleaf Farms by Melanie Harlow. Now, the thing with this series that I think is funny is that she named these all Cloverleaf Farms, which I understand why she did, but the first 5 are that first generation, and then with book 6, that is the first book in this next generation. So there's Ignite, Taste, Tease, and Tempt are the books in the second gen. And for the most part, they are the daughters of Mac and Frankie. Both his daughters he already had, and then the daughters that they have together are who's being paired up with people. So yeah, this is Winnie McAllister. And this one is a single dad firefighter next door. He has 2 little girls, and he ends up busting in to rescue her when her fire alarm goes off, and she happens to be naked because she was in the shower, and just all of that drama gets started off. But I love this series so much. There is also the spin-off series from these is The Cherry Tree Harbor, and that one is going to have Joey Lupo in it, who he is the second generation of another series of hers that had the Lupos in it. Also, I believe Taste, which is the one after this one, has both a McAllister daughter and a Lupo kid as well. So she just has second gen stuff spread throughout all of her series, which is great. We love to see it. Okay, now we have one of the ones that I have read a few of the parents from the first gen of this series, but I didn't really love those that much, and it's why I started fresh with this series. But I would be remiss if I didn't mention, of course, the Legacy of the Gods series. So this is God of Malice. This is the special blackout edition of God of Malice from Baddie's Book Box. I love it. But there is also, does this one have, I don't think this special edition has a family tree. Yeah, this one doesn't have a family tree in it. But pretty much the parents from, like, this is another case of, it's not quite like a mafia school, but it kind of is. Like, there's these two colleges that have the kids of all these different, like, mafia families, powerful families, like dark romance stuff, and all of their kids are going to these two colleges. I think there's King's College, and then there's another one. And they are all falling in love in this series. So this series just wrapped up, actually, and Rena said that though she may do some short stories or novellas about different characters in this series, she's going to be starting fresh with a new world, which I think could be really great. I think it'd be really great to see what she does with that. But yeah, this one is Killian and Glyndon, and they are the children of characters from other series of hers, and I love this book so much. But yeah, this whole series is people's kids, which again is the theme. Why do I keep repeating myself? It happens. Okay, then we have a series that, it's funny because I read the second generation series before I knew that it was a second gen series, and then I went back and read all of the books. This was years ago now. But there is the Like Us series, or the Billionaires and Bodyguards, or whatever. It's had many names over the years. But the first book in this second gen series is Damaged Like Us by Krista and Becca Ritchie, and the first like 3 books in this series are about one couple, that is Maximoff Hale and Pharaoh Keene. This is also a bodyguard romance, and if you read the, what's it called? What's that series called with them? The Calloway? The Calloway. That's what it is. The Calloway series and the Addicted series had these 3 sisters, and then who they end up marrying, and they were on this like TV show that was like a reality show, and from that they got their fame, and now they have all these like different businesses and companies and fame related to all of their kids as well, and so their kids need bodyguards. And so this whole series is about the kids of the Callaways, the Calloway sisters, and them falling for their bodyguards and different people like that. So I will say I burned out around the series around book, I think around book 10, but I really enjoyed the ones I did read, and maybe someday I'll go back and get back on, but they started really drawing out a lot of things, and I got a little, like I said, I got burned out. But I really, really loved Maximoff and Pharaoh's story. Like I said, they have the first 3 books, and then there's 2 books about Jane and her bodyguard, and then there's another one that's about Maximoff and Pharaoh, and I loved that one too. So I really loved seeing their relationship evolve. And Maximoff Hale, he's the child of Lily and Lo, and then like Jane is is his cousin, and she's the daughter of Rose and Connor, which were like my favorite couple from the first ones. So yeah, I really loved this series when I read it. So this is a second gen series that just, I'll never forget it, even though, as I said, I have dropped off of it. I still think about them sometimes and go back and like read sections of it, because I actually had like bought books 1 through 9 and I like own them, and I'll go back and visit them sometimes. Okay, then we have the, what was this series title? What did they call this series? I don't know. Campus Diaries. Okay, there's the Campus Diaries series, and this is a spin-off second gen from the Off-Campus series, and the, what's the other series? There's Off-Campus and Briar U. Now, I will say that this book is definitely said second gen because we have Gigi Graham, who is the daughter of Hannah and Garrett Graham, which their first book is The Deal. But I will say I have been a little disappointed because this book, which I'm not disappointed in this book, I liked it, but neither of these characters is a child of that series. And the third book that's coming out, which is supposed to be an MFM, which I'm all about it, I don't think any of those three are their children either. So that's why, like, I hesitated to put this series in there, because only this book has really been that. Like, we see mentions of them in this, but that feels more like just a generic spin-off than where this one was a direct second gen. Like, we see Hannah and Garrett in this one and all that stuff. But yeah, this was a like enemies with benefits, hidden friendship eventually, forbidden relationship type thing. And I really, really liked this one. And again, I really liked the Dixon rule because I really liked Diana and Shane. I just wish that it was a closer spin-off. Like, I wish one of them was the child of one of our people, you know? Okay, now we have a series that also has some of that, where some of the books are direct second gen and some of them aren't, but y'all will know who I'm talking about. So I have the Wallflower Meet the Ravenels books. So not all of the books in the Ravenel series are about children of the Wallflowers, but 3 of them particularly are. And those are the ones where, like, this one didn't say it. This one just says it's Ravenel's book 3, but then she started saying it, like, the Ravenels meets the Wallflowers in both of these. So basically how you can tell is that any book in this series that has devil in the title has to do with second gen. Particularly the last book, which is both the hero and the heroine are children of Wallflower characters. But we have this one where it is Sebastian's son, Gabriel, who's now the Lord St. Vincent because his father has a new title. And we have Pandora Ravenel, and they have a meet cute where he accidentally compromises her when trying to rescue her from being stuck behind a couch. Yep, that happens. And then we have Devil's Daughter, and this one is Phoebe, who again is Sebastian's daughter. And we have West Ravenel, who he is a Ravenel cousin, or he's the brother of the cousin, I don't know, but there's that one. And then there's the final book in the series, Devil in Disguise, which has a secret one of Devil's children, right? And then Merritt, who is the daughter of Lillian and Marcus, and she's actually a widow at the beginning of this one. So yeah, these are the books that are second generation for her. We pray to the Lord they're not the very last we'll have of her, but they might be, so we just have to deal with it. We just have to deal with it. Okay, I have a few other historical ones I'll share too. So there is Notorious by Minerva Spencer, aka SM La Violette. And this is actually the very first book I ever read by Minerva Spencer, which is just crazy. And I was very intrigued by it. I didn't quite know how to feel about this book. I think I ended up giving it 5 stars at the end, but it was so different. And this one is Drusilla Clare, and her relationship is with Gabriel Marlington. And now Gabriel, he is the son of our heroine from Dangerous, which Dangerous was about a woman who she had been kept captive in a harem of this like Middle Eastern sheik, or like whoever he was. And so she had actually had a child with that man who had kidnapped her and kept her in his harem. And after, I think it's like 15, 16 years, she finally escapes and makes it back to England. And then she gets married to an Englishman because she needs his money and connections to be able to go back and rescue her son. So, spoiler alert for Dangerous, they do rescue her son. And so his Middle Eastern name is actually like Jibril, but his like English name is Gabriel. And so he's considered a bit of an outcast. In fact, that first series is called Outcasts of the Ton, and this series is Rebels of the Ton. And so, yeah, he is, as I said, the son of them. And then we have Drew, who she's friends with Gabriel's sister, and she finds herself in the clutches of a scoundrel only to be rescued by Gabriel. And now she needs to like get married to Gabriel to protect her reputation, and she's determined not to fall in love with him, but you know, things are going to happen. So this whole series is about children of that series, because in fact, I think it's book 3 and 4, and maybe just is 3, is about the children of in Barbarous from that one. So very good. I love Minerva Spencer. I've read so many of her books now. They're some of my favorites. And yeah, that was the first one I ever read from her. I don't necessarily recommend that it's the first for other people. Like, again, I'd rather have them start with Dangerous or start with her erotic series even. But it was enough to hook me in. I just think now, having read so many more of her books, I wouldn't rate it as highly as I did because I've read so many of her others, but love it. Then I want to share a quick share of The Sinful Ways of Jamie Mackenzie. So yes, I love a Jamie Mackenzie, but this is Ian Mackenzie's son, his oldest, his heir. And this is listed as book 12 in the Mackenzie series. And so this series works a little bit like the Melanie Harlow series that I was talking about, where the first good chunk is about the first generation, and then we have some time jumps, and now we're into the younger generation. So the first, I wonder if they have the title list in here. They might not. Let me look. Yeah, she even has a nice little family tree back here, which is great, because this series is called The Mackenzies, the second Jenn, which is in the Edwardian era, because she has books that are in the Victorian era, and that starts with The Madness, and it has all of these. And then there is a throwback books that fit in that are during the Jacobite uprising, and those are about, like, we hear about them a lot in the Victorian series, but we have the Stolen Mackenzie Bride, Alec Mackenzie's Art of Seduction. We have all these, and then it skipped forward to the Edwardian era, where we'll have Ian Mackenzie's kids and like the cousins and everything. So I actually have read this one. I need to read some of the other ones in it, but this one was so beautiful to me. So this starts in 1908, and Jennifer actually did promise that none of her characters will be a part of World War I, even though this is historical. She's like gonna kind of ignore that because she's like, I don't want my characters to, she's like, I don't want to have to write that. But I also don't know if she'll write that far forward, because I think she's kind of done writing this series now. But this book was so lovely because we see Ian Mackenzie. It's all about Ian for me, okay? It's always all about Ian for me. We see Ian as a dad, and like just the conversation she has with his son and how he shows love to his family. I love it so much. So yes, within the Mackenzie series, you also can get to some second generation books in it as well. Okay, then there is Beautiful Beast by Neva Altaj. Now, this second gen series is just getting started, so I hesitated to like share it, but I'm gonna do it anyway. And this is called Perfectly Imperfect Mafia Legacy. So she's starting this new series about the kids of the characters from Perfectly Imperfect. And so Beautiful Beast is about Roman and Nina's daughter, Vasilisa, and her relationship with Raphael, who Vasilisa has become a hacker, and she ends up hacking into some place she shouldn't, which leads to her being kidnapped by Raphael's men and almost executed. And lucky for her, he ends up coming home and seeing that it's actually a woman hacker who did this, and he decides he wants to keep her instead because he just thinks she's extra fiery and extra special. Okay, now we have the series where I said I have not read the original generation. All the rest of these I've read the first generations, or at least some of them, as the case with Irina Kent. But I have not read the original generation of L.J. Andrews yet. But earlier this year, I started her, the Ever Realm, or whatever it is, and the Ever King, the Ever Queen, and the Mist Thief are a part of a second generation. It's very clear when you're reading it that you're reading a second gen series, and so I will eventually read that first series. But the Ever King, you know, like, he's the son of the enemy and she's the daughter of like heroes from a separate book, and he ends up kidnapping her to use her as leverage to get something back from the king, but it turns out the king doesn't actually have it. So now he's like, oh well, I'll just make her my wife instead and use her as a bargaining chip that way, and we'll see how good that works for him there. But the first two books are a duet, the Ever King, the Ever Queen. Highly recommend the audiobooks. They were wonderful. And then the Mist Thief starts a new relationship, and then the next book that's coming is going to be a new relationship as well. So very excited for that to come out. And then I wanted to end this video with a second gen series that I know you're going to love, and I feel a bit bad because this book won't be out until February, I think, but I don't care. I get to include it because it's my channel. So the Southern Charm series is coming from Juliet Cross, which is going to be the second generation of the Stay a Spell series. And I was lucky enough to read an arc of A Rebel Without Claws, which will be coming in February of next year, and I know y'all are just going to love it so much. I can't wait to see which characters she writes second gen stories for, but this one was great. It's about another werewolf hero and the daughter of Evie and Mateo, so it's really great. But anyway, I'll have links to all these books down below if you want to check out some of the second generation series, or maybe start with the first gen and then make your way into it. But let me know some of your favorite series with second gen. I know that LJ Shen has some other ones. I know that, you know, I didn't include Cora Riley, very specifically didn't include Cora Riley because I hate that second generation series. These were ones that are like my favorites, the ones that I like. But feel free to share which ones are yours, and we'll get some recommendations in the comments for everybody. So thank you so much for watching, friends, and I'll see you next time. Bye.